Hello, and welcome to the show. Today, we're diving headfirst into a topic near and dear to my liver-terrible life choices. Just kidding, it's actually about moving abroad. Specifically, the countries that might sound appealing on paper, but in reality are about as welcoming as an alligator in a swimming pool. Thinking about moving abroad? Fantastic. It's a big, beautiful world out there filled with diverse cultures and experiences that'll make you say, wow, I really wish I'd done more research. And that's what we're here for. We're counting down the top 5 countries you might want to avoid if you're an expat. And trust me, some of these will surprise you. We'll dive into crime rates, safety concerns, and the cost of living in these countries. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to end up living in a swanky penthouse if it means they have to sell a kidney to afford a loaf of bread. So, buckle up, grab a snack that won't get you arrested in at least 3 countries. Looking at you, Kinder Eggs, and let's get into it. First up, we have Venezuela. Now, I know what you're thinking. Stunning beaches, vibrant culture, RFS, what's not to love? And you're not wrong, Venezuela has a lot to offer. But, and this is a big but, we're talking about a country currently grappling with one of the worst economic crises in modern history. We're talking hyperinflation so bad that you practically need a wheelbarrow full of cash just to buy a single arepa. And that's assuming you can even find one because food shortages are rampant. But hey, maybe you're thinking, I'm made of money. I'll just bring my own arepa-making supplies. Well, hold your horses, Mr. Moneybags, because Venezuela also boasts one of the highest crime rates in the world. We're talking kidnappings, robberies, and violent crime that would make even the most hardened action movie hero think twice. Imagine walking down the street minding your own business when suddenly, bam, you're robbed by a group of people wearing more Gucci than a Pitbull music video. And don't even get me started on the political instability. I mean, this is a country where the government has basically declared war on its own people. It's like living in a real-life telenovela, but instead of passionate love affairs and shocking betrayals, you get rolling blackouts and a severe shortage of toilet paper. Look, I'm not saying Venezuela doesn't have its charms. It's a country with a rich history, stunning natural beauty, and people known for their warmth and resilience. But as an expat, particularly one who enjoys basic necessities like, safety and a stable economy, Venezuela might not be the best place to unpack your suitcase. Unless, of course, your suitcase is full of toilet paper and you're a black market aficionado with a death wish. In that case, by all means, be my guest. Next up, we have Switzerland, the land of breathtaking mountains, delicious chocolate, and cripplingly expensive everything. Seriously, Switzerland makes Monaco look like a bargain bin. You know that feeling when you accidentally buy something at a tourist trap and then spend the rest of the trip eating ramen noodles? Well, living in Switzerland is like that feeling, but every single day. Want to rent a tiny studio apartment in Zurich? Be prepared to shell out more money than a Saudi prince at a gold-plated camel auction. And don't even think about going out for a casual fondue dinner unless you're willing to remortgage your house. Even a simple cup of coffee can set you back the equivalent of a small fortune in most other countries. Now, I know what you're thinking, but John, Switzerland has a high quality of life. What about the excellent healthcare, the efficient public transportation, and the low crime rates? And you're right, Switzerland does excel in those areas. If you can afford it, Switzerland is basically a utopia. But for the average expat, the cost of living can be so astronomically high that even if you're making Swiss francs, it might not be enough to enjoy the Swiss lifestyle. It's like staring at a delicious chocolate cake through the window of a bakery. You can admire it, you can dream about it, but unless you're willing to pay a king's ransom, you're better off just going home and eating a stale cracker. So unless you're a millionaire hedge fund manager or a successful yodeler with a lucrative endorsement deal, you might want to think twice before packing your bags for Switzerland. Brazil. From carnival to carnage. Ah, Brazil. The land of samba, sunshine, and enough natural beauty to make even the most jaded traveler weep with joy. It's a country that pulsates with life, a place where the party never seems to end, until it does, and you realize you've wandered into the wrong favela. Because here's the thing about Brazil, it's a country of stark contrasts. While it boasts some of the most beautiful beaches and vibrant cities in the world, it also struggles with high levels of crime and poverty. And navigating these disparities can be tricky, even for the most seasoned traveler. Imagine this, you're strolling along Ipanema Beach, caipirinha in hand, soaking up the sun and the sounds of bossa nova. Life is good. But then, just a few blocks away, you might stumble into a neighborhood where the vibe is decidedly less beach party and more Mad Max Fury Road. And let's not forget about the cost of living. Sure, it's not Switzerland, but Brazil can still be surprisingly expensive, especially if you're living the good life in cities like Rio or Sao Paulo. And by good life, I mean able to afford basic necessities without having to sell your internal organs on the black market. Look, Brazil is an amazing country with a lot to offer. But it's also a country where you need to be constantly aware of your surroundings, where even a trip to the ATM can turn into a scene from Taken. So unless you're fluent in Portuguese, have a black belt in capoeira, and a sixth sense for danger, you might want to reconsider your Brazilian retirement plans. South Africa, the rainbow nation with a shadowy side. South Africa, a land of breathtaking landscapes, incredible wildlife, and a history so complex it could make your head spin faster than a cheetah on a sugar rush. It's a country of immense beauty and cultural richness, but it's also a country grappling with some very real and very serious safety concerns. Now, I'm not talking about the wildlife here, although encountering a grumpy hippopotamus in the wild is probably not on anyone's bucket list. No, I'm talking about the human element. South Africa has one of the highest rates of violent crime in the world, and it's something that casts a long shadow over this otherwise incredible nation. Imagine this: you're driving through the stunning scenery of the garden route, windows down, wind in your hair, feeling like you're in a car commercial. But then you pull into a town and suddenly, you're bombarded with signs warning you about carjacking, theft, and all sorts of other unpleasantries. And it's not just petty crime either. South Africa also struggles with high rates of murder, assault, and sexual violence. It's enough to make even the most intrepid traveler think twice about venturing out alone at night, or even during the day for that matter. Look, I'm not saying that South Africa is a no-go zone, far from it. But it's a country where you need to be extra vigilant, where you need to be aware of your surroundings and take precautions that you might not even think about in other parts of the world. Singapore, where your wallet goes to die. Last but not least, we arrive at the Lion City, the shining jewel of Southeast Asia, the land where chewing gum is illegal and the streets are so clean you could eat off them, Singapore. Now, Singapore is often praised for its safety, cleanliness, and efficiency, and rightly so. It's basically a well-oiled, perfectly organized machine where everything runs on time and the only crime you're likely to witness is someone jaywalking. But there's a catch, and it's a big one: the cost of living. Seriously, Singapore will suck your bank account drier than a Dyson on turbo mode. We're talking about a place where renting a shoebox-sized apartment can cost you your entire life savings, and that's before you factor in the exorbitant cost of food, drinks, and transportation. Forget about owning a car. Unless you're a multi-millionaire tech mogul, you're better off sticking to public transportation, and even then, be prepared to shell out a small fortune every month just to get around. Want to go out for a fancy meal? Be prepared to remortgage your house. Fancy a pint after work? Get ready to pay more than you would for a week's worth of groceries. Even simple things like buying groceries can be a shock to the system. Listen, I get it. Singapore is a vibrant, modern city with a lot to offer. But unless you're rolling in dough, it's a place that will make you question your life choices faster than you can say Singlish. So, unless you're comfortable living a life of austerity and ramen noodle dinners, you might want to reconsider making Singapore your new home. Choose wisely, my friends. So, there you have it, folks. 5 countries that might sound appealing on paper, but in reality, come with a whole host of challenges for expats. Remember, moving abroad is a big decision, and it's important to do your research and weigh the pros and cons carefully. Don't just rely on glossy brochures and Instagram filters. Talk to people who have actually lived in these countries, get the real scoop on what it's like to navigate daily life, and ask yourself if you're prepared to deal with the potential downsides. Because at the end of the day, moving abroad should be an exciting adventure, not a constant struggle against crime, exorbitant prices, or a government that seems hell-bent on making your life difficult. So if you're planning to move abroad, make sure to do your research and consider these factors. Stay safe and choose wisely.